What happens when a British politician who has been in government at the highest level for over 10 years and has served in the cabinet at some of the highest levels sits down with historian David Starkey? This one gets interesting. Starkey completely blindsides Jeremy Hunt, the politician, and goes into beast mode.
Without leadership. Can we just, again, you said that your book offered a message of hope. I think it does. But haven't we to be more realistic? I mean, let's shift slightly now to the consequences of that 14 years and the 11 of those that you served as a cabinet minister. The Conservative Party experienced its worst ever defeat, and you barely hung on to a seat in leafy Surrey. Now, doesn't that suggest perhaps that something rather structural went wrong? And I can't see any trace in what you write that there's an awareness of that.
Okay, let's unpick. You've jumped around there a bit, David. Let me just say
it's called moving the discussion on.
Or even moving the goalposts. So let me just be clear. This book is about Britain's role in the world. Mm-hmm. And it's called Can We Be Great Again? And my definition of great is not Donald Trump's definition of great. My definition is a very straightforward one. I say a great country is one that can shape the world as well as be shaped by it.
That definition, by the way, is the most meaningless platitude of a definition I think I have ever heard. Anybody that doesn't know, the small audience that I'm very grateful that I do have, about half of you are in the United States. This is a politician in this country that was in power for 14 years with the Conservatives, but he gets accused of, like all other politicians that are part of the Conservative Party and the Labour Party, of being part of what you guys also call the uni party, where it just feels like it doesn't matter whether you vote red or blue, you get the same uninspiring, uninteresting, unchanging, floppy wet towels. And his definition there, he's being so considered with the way that he describes it, but it means nothing. What's interesting about this next segment is that David Starkey, the historian, talks about how things changed dramatically when Tony Blair came into power in 1997 and the reason things changed, and makes a comment to Jeremy, to his face in front of an audience, about just how diddly squat he actually did to overturn these actions of the Blair 1997 government.
You were in power, or rather, the Conservatives were in power from 2010 to 2014. This structure of law that you talk about was a deliberate creation of the Blair government. There was a deliberate intention to override anybody that had democratic accountability with the creation of a legal and expert structure. The judicial power you refer to, deliberately the creation of the Supreme Court, of the exaggerated rights of judicial review, of the Equality Act, of the ECHR. You did nothing. You also entrenched all of these things. The thing that is ultimately disastrous, which is, facing us now with an immediate cost of living crisis, is the decision in 2015, which wasn't even subject to a formal, I think, an act of Parliament. It was simply a statutory instrument to bring forward net zero to 2050, which effectively gives judges control over extractive policy. These weren't simply that you didn't reverse what Labour had done. You actually intensified it, didn't you? Again, your book has got... one of the things that I found striking about your book, it could have been written by any centrist Labour politician. Exactly the same sort of things that you feature: climate change, human rights, soft power.
This is what we mean when we talk about the uniparty. There's nothing to separate the two main parties anymore. This is what he means. The type of book that you've written and the type of vanilla, uncontroversial, status quo things that you contribute, it could have come from any one of the selected politicians, whether they be Labour or conservative, which is why we're at a crisis point at this point in the country. Here, Jeremy tries to use this sweet and cute little anecdote as to why Britain does actually project soft power in the world, and the actual real militaristic, real life, old-fashioned power isn't important or doesn't matter in our case because we don't have that, but why British soft power is a thing, and that the rest of the world think, oh God, is that how Britain does things? Well, let's do it the same way.
Now, I'm not prepared to chuck all that away and say that that kind of soft power is vanity. That is absolute rubbish. That is one of the most...
I'm not. But for the simple reason, Jeremy, you're now giving us a sweet little anecdote about
It's not a sweet anecdote. It's an example.
It's a very important one. And unlike you, I've been a university teacher. I believed in this. I practiced it.
Okay.
It is centrally important. But that is not national. That is not the projection of the kind of myth that I'm talking about. That is a specific institution, one that I would passionately defend too. We're talking about something else. We're talking about the antics on the public stage. We're talking about the mouthing of platitudes, the shaking of hands, the kind of activities you undertook as foreign secretary. You are fundamentally a universalist. You believe, you've just said now, all human beings are entitled to this, that, the other. But isn't that, A, a deep myth, and B, isn't it profoundly unconservative? Can I remind you of the, by far the greatest leader of the Conservative Party, not the greatest Conservative Prime Minister? Can I remind you of Disraeli? It's not a question that there will be change, there will be, it's what sort of change. Is it change in accordance with the traditions and customs of the country, Burke, or is it change in accordance with ruthless international liberal cosmopolitanism? You are a rootless international liberal cosmopolitan.
Well, all I can
Come on, boast about it. The whole book is about that.
Right, okay. Well, all I can do is say that I think you're completely wrong to say that conservatives don't believe that all human beings have aspirations to being treated decently, to living in a free country, to living in societies which treat them with decency and respect.
By all human beings here, by the way, he's talking about people that live in Afghanistan and Sudan and places in the world where culturally it's not quite been like it has been here. It's what Gadsad calls suicidal empathy, where we've had such good material lives and we're totally ignorant to the fact that there are so many people in the world that haven't had that, and that we just want to give it to everybody. We want to take what this country has accumulated through hundreds of years of error correction and cultural advancement, scientific cultural advancement, and we've reached this pinnacle of civilization. And we think that we can just give it, and give it by willing it, not with any force. Not like we used to do, where we'd actually literally physically go there and Britishize them. But we think these people think that they can if only we just beam it out of our hearts, if only we just love them all, then they'll want to live as we live. And essentially this is what Starkey here is dismantling.
So my vision for a great Britain is one which absolutely puts our national interests first. And please don't suggest that someone who writes a book saying we need to do difficult decisions to sort the economy out, we need to invest in our defence, we need to strengthen our global interest. Don't say to me that's not about putting our national interest first. It's just that I have a different view of our national interest to you. My view of our national interest is a country that is prosperous, successful, strong, and stands for a set of values that are admired across the world.
We are now in desperate stray. And it seems to me we have to have a concentrated focus to begin with on ourselves.
This is a reality check. You're talking the politician Jeremy Hunt is talking again in these grand terms of a Britain on the world stage. David is saying, who cares about the world stage? Why is the British government not completely turning its focus inwardly, and, severing foreign aid, severing all these projects abroad and focusing its resources entirely on this country, on Britain? Who cares about soft power?
All I'm really trying to say is that we've got to start somewhere. And we've gone, I think you would agree, profoundly, badly astray.
Okay, I actually
but let's move on. I mean,
no, because I think I just need to answer that point because I think that is an exaggeration. Look,
really?
Yes, I do, and I'm going to give you some evidence, if I may, that that's an exaggeration. So I think if let's look at the area that is most commonly used to illustrate things have gone badly wrong, and it's our economy. And the truth is we are currently the 6th largest economy in the world, and there's a London economics consultancy called the Centre for Economics and Business Research.
I'm not even going to put you through the pain of what he is about to say. He talks about this consultancy firm in London that does predictions and projections into the future, and 15 years from now in the future, Britain is the number X economy in the world. It's just we cannot predict anything, and it's not even the fact that he's trying to cite predictions as evidence. He called it evidence. It's not evidence. Predicting the future isn't evidence. I mean, you should do the lottery. If he's good at predicting the future, you should do the lottery. Again, it's he's not talking about how Britain performs from the perspective of the British people. It's all about how Britain performs on the world stage. It's all he cares about. This idea of soft power, soft global power.